Here you are with two presidents. Was Obama president at the time when you met him?
He was running for president.
He was running for president.
That was his first term.
What'd you think of him when you met him?
Awesome.
Yeah?
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you think he would be president at that time?
I knew he had a strong chance of winning it. You know, he was definitely a serious contender. You know, of course, I was hoping he would. Yeah, that was awesome.
I know he's a sports fan. Do you think who was more excited to meet who? Were you more excited to meet him, or do you think he was more excited to meet you?
I don't know. I think I was really excited to meet him.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was an awesome experience.
What about?
I actually met him twice.
Oh, did you?
Met him the second time when he was running. I forget where, but we got that photo. But I mean, we took that photo with him, but I never got the photo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you met him since he was president, or have you talked to him since he was president?
No.
Okay. I'm sure if you called him, he'd take your call.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I already got that number.
This is Buster calling. What about with Clinton? How did that happen?
That was set up as well. I gave him a pair of gloves.
Okay.
Autographed gloves. That was nice meeting Mr. Bill Clinton too. Yeah.
Is that after your Tyson fight?
Yeah, that was after the Tyson fight.
Got all those
I
belts.
finally got all the belts.
How long did it take you to get the belts?
It took a month or so.
Really? Sanctioning bodies weren't weren't that quick.
You walked away that night with only one belt, right? I mean,
Right.
physically one belt.
And that was Tyson's belt.
Right.
One of my guys grabbed it,
Yes.
seen it laying around and picked it up.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any belts.
Right.
There was nobody was represented at the time. IBF wasn't even acknowledged in Tokyo, so they didn't even have a belt present.
Wow.
So when I came back to the States, they were the first ones to give me a belt.
Okay.
They acknowledged me as their champion immediately. IBF.
Good.
Then the other ones came around afterwards.
So where are those belts now? Where do you have them?
They're at home. I wear them around the house from time to time.
Do you want to show everyone who's boss at home? You put those back on?
Yeah, like, you forget who you're talking to? 1 minute.
Yeah.
Then I come
When I
back with them.
when I say take out the trash, I mean take out the trash.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Got this picture here of the famous knockdown. When you look at that picture, what do you think about?
Watching him go down.
Yeah.
Him going down. That was the final punch, the fourth punch. I did that 4-punch combination after I caught him with the uppercut.
There's uppercut and left, right, left. Is that right? Was that what it was?
Left, right, left, right. Well, right, left, right, left.
Okay.
Finish him with the left.
Okay. And then what's happening? What happened right here? That's our.
That's my uncle JD, Johnny, coming in the ring, congratulating me after the fight. Yeah.
You can kind of see there off to the side where Tyson kind of being consoled. You're being celebrated.
Right.
Yeah, that's very telling. Nice.
Yeah, great picture, right?
How was it meeting Muhammad Ali?
That was awesome, man. Meeting the greatest. Yeah. Another dream come true.
Yeah, absolutely. Was this after the Tyson fight?
Yes.
Okay.
We were in Chicago. That photo was taken in Chicago, in the hotel room. Ali was a funny guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely was very humorous. What was his? What did he say to you when you met him?
You know what? The thing about that meeting that I remember mostly was his reaction. He was telling me his reaction during the fight.
Okay.
You know, to see that I did something to inspire the greatest was awesome.
That's awesome.
I was like, wow, you liked what you saw, what I did. You know, it was very impressive.
Yeah.
You know, that was awesome. to experience that. Someone that I looked up to as a kid, watching him all the pictures and seeing him in the magazines, and then he's telling me how he felt, his reaction during a fight.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is, right?
I mean, it's just.
Wow.
What were you surprised? Like, were you surprised with what he told you at that time, or did you kind of expect what he said?
I mean, I was surprised the fact that what I did impressed him.
Right.
Yeah. Impressed him. And it did an impressive thing to impress Ali because, you know, he was just a really talented guy,
yeah.
right? You know what I mean? Like, to say, man, you know, that was pretty cool what you did, you know. That was awesome.
Well, if anyone, whether you're Ali or just a fan off the street, I mean, to do what you did, everyone had to notice that. Everyone had to admire that. You know, famous or not famous, the greatest or not the greatest. I mean, absolutely.
But I mean, I looked up to him, and I always thought what he did was awesome. And for him to come back and say that about me was pretty impressive.
What was your favorite fight of Ali's? Is there one that you liked the most?
Well, right off, I would say the Foreman fight. You know, the way he out-endured Foreman, took that punishment. Big George can hit, big-time puncher. And for him to take that punch is pretty impressive. I mean, he caught up with him at the end, as we all know, but at that time, that was impressive.
Some say that was an upset. When
it was.
Ali beat Foreman. Absolutely.
You know, I wasn't expecting Ali to beat Foreman. He had shown no will. I mean, not will, but he showed in his previous fights that he could knock out a guy like, not just beat him, but his endurance and strength could overcome somebody as powerful as George Foreman back then.
Absolutely. Who are some of these guys in these pictures over here?
This is when I was in Chicago.
Okay.
It's Michael Jordan, of course, for one of his games. And that was the year they won the title, the first title. And then that's Ernie Terrell, heavyweight champion of Chicago, world champion. That's the guy, legendary guy Ali made famous. Mm-hmm. What's my name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And Walter Payton.
Sweetness.
So you're basically being the greatest of every sports, every sport.
Yeah.
I mean,
that Walter Payton, funniest guy.
Was he?
He was a hilarious, silly guy. Then I was at a school I went to visit in Chicago, signing some autographs for the kids. And that's Johnson Publication, president, CEO, Mr. Johnson.
Guy looks really scared.
That's the #1 radio station in Chicago, DJ. He was pretending to be scared.
Don't leave out those infamous pictures over here.
Oh, and then the ones over here. WWF. Macho Man. When we were in the ring squaring off talking to one another, I was telling him to get back to his corner or whatever. And then he was like, hey man, I'm from Columbus, Ohio too. I was like, what?
Oh, he told you that there in the ring?
Yeah, that's when he told me that.
Wow.
It's from Columbus, Ohio, West Side.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, get out of here.
Did you believe him at the time, or did you think it was just part of the act?
I did. I was like, wow, really? Yeah, but he was a really cool guy, man.
That's almost the look you have on your face there. It almost looks like he literally just told you right there.
Yeah. It was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that the end of the fight there? Is that what that was?
Just about getting close.
Wow.
I was getting close to him, so I could finish him off.
Wow.
Now, you saying that was supposed to be Tyson in that position right there?
I think so, because he was supposed to have done it, but of course he couldn't do it.
No.
No longer the champ. So I was invited to do it. Now, of course, I jumped right to it because me and my oldest son, Lamar, we watched it every Saturday back then. And then to be involved in it like that was like awesome.
Was that a difficult process to pull that all together, or did everything just happen quickly?
Oh yeah, it was not easy transition. One champ to another.
Wow.
So how long have you been working here with the youth in Columbus?
It's going on my 4th year.
4th year.
Yeah, it's been great too. Great experience. Reliving it all over again because this is where I started at, in this park and rec department. You know, but it was on the east side of town at Blackburn Recreation Center. And my dad was a boxing instructor then. So I was like, you know, that picture over here when I was 10-year-old, came in to the rec center over at Blackburn. They just built it. And he was a, you know, boxing instructor over there. And that's where it all started.
Do you think that you're basically teaching boys and girls? You're coaching young boys and girls, is that right?
Yes.
Do they have any idea of who's coaching them? Like the magnitude of what you did? Do you think that even registers with them at their age?
No, I'm just a coach.
You're just a coach. Yeah. Maybe their parents
Oh, yeah,
call
their
them, hey,
parents know.
you're being coached by a great fighter who did an amazing thing.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's awesome, man. It's full circle. You know, this is at the beginning now. My dad basically doing, you know, this is great. It's a really good feeling coming every day.
Absolutely. You got any future heavyweight champions that you're training right
I
now?
look at all of them as champions. They're doing a great job, working hard. You know.
I know I was told you got a class of all girls, is that right?
Yeah, that took a second to get used to.
Yeah, sure.
When I came through, it was all the guys.
Yeah,
You know, the girls
right.
came in, but they watched. Now they're coming in with gym bags and all the gear, and really more focused than most of the kids. Most of the guys that come in here at their ages, you know. It's pretty cool.
I've learned that the girls are actually a little tougher than the boys when it comes to, you know, sharing a sport.
Yeah, their focus. Their
Yeah.
focus is incredible. They're really into it. The guys will be milling around until it's their turn to do whatever. Then they go back to messing around. And they see me doing it all over again there too. You know, I used to do my workout, then I'm off going to shoot basketball or whatever other activity that was going on that I wanted to be involved with at the rec center. And this is awesome, man. When I was offered this opportunity, I jumped right on it.
That's great.
I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And then once I came into it, it was like fish drawn in water. Just absorbed it right away.
Have you ever been asked to train a professional fighter? I mean, has a heavyweight fighter ever come to you and say, hey, train me for a fight? Because I know what you've been through. I know what you did to get to where you were.
Not really. Just like working with the kids and stuff.
Maybe easier to
It'd
train.
be professionals come in and work out and stuff, but I'm more so focused on the kids because I don't want to get involved with that too much because that could be a lot of headache for the most part. You tell them something the first time they tell you, doubt what you say, I'm done with it, you know, forget it, then do what you want to do.
Sure.
With the kids, it's like, yes sir, you know, they go right at it, whatever you say is go. I like that, quick response.
Easier to teach.
A lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Chip, did you want to sit down? And didn't mean to make you stand up the whole time.
good.
Okay, cool.
You've been in the fight game as far as professionally. You've been fighting since 81.
Right.
Yeah. How did you get into it?
Well, I was going to school in my junior year and playing basketball. And then I started losing interest in school itself. And then I was watching the fights on TV, and I said, I think I'm gonna go back and be a professional fighter. It just clicked, really. I just got the urge to want to be back involved in boxing. And that's how I called my dad, and I said, when I come home this summer, I want to turn pro, and he was like, beautiful. That's the beginning.
How'd you get the name Buster?
My mother's mother and my grandmother. I was the first grandchild.
Yeah.
Of course, I got into everything and did everything possible, good and bad. So I got the nickname. First it started out Butter. Then from Butter it went to Buster.
I don't know. Butter Douglas doesn't have the same ring for heavyweight champion as Buster Douglas does.
Right.
Right. Your first professional fight. Do you remember who that was?
Yeah, Michael Greer.
Yep. Michael Lear.
Actually, it must have been an exhibition. Cause we had headgear on and stuff, but they counted it as a pro fight.
Okay.
So
How'd they do that?
I don't know.
They just changed their mind.
Commission, you know, it was supposed to be an exhibition, and they said that's where I lost my amateur status because that year Frazier was coming into town. Marvis and Joe Frazier was coming to fight in the state fair. We were getting ready to, you know, compete in there as well as heavyweights, hoping to get a fight with Mike Marvis, but it didn't happen because I had that exhibition. So I lost my amateur status, and that just really made me just turn pro.
Kind of forced you into it.
Yeah, really.
I did some research on Mike Lear, and you basically ended his career because he had one more fight after that, and he didn't fight after that. So, but starting out, your dad trained you.
Right.
Starting out.
Turned pro and everything with my dad.
And then there's in doing some research for this interview, I heard about this famous meeting with you and him at the dinner table with your mom in the middle.
Right.
And that's when you pretty much told him that you're going to go a different direction and have a different trainer.
Right. I'm not trainer and manager. Because my uncle was going to train me. John Johnson was taking over as a manager. So I had to have my mom there to intermediate to make sure everything was going.
Keep the peace, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Moms, they can do that.
That's right.
Yes, and I mean, with your parents and friends, I mean, you had a lot of people throughout your career really believe in you. I mean, really believe in you, and very loyal.
Family members and stuff. Yeah, so. And also on the same side, I had just as many that was like, what? He's doing what? You know, so that was 50, 60, 40, you know.
Did you find as you were coming up the ranks that you were modeling your style over one of the fighters that you looked up to in the 80s?
Definitely.
Yeah. Who were some of those fighters that you would model after?
Well, my dad, of course.
Okay.
And then Ali, you know, I just took a lot of different fighters that like Jose Napoles, you know, Sugar Ray Robinson, you know, fighters of that nature.
Do you think your dad was ever jealous of your career?
No, not at all.
More successful than he was, as far as career-wise.
But I mean, you know, being able to watch him go through what he had to go through, it kind of gave me an edge because I kind of sort of knew what I was getting into, and then so it kind of helped me develop even more, you know, because I had stopped competing at that age around 15. Then I got involved in basketball and football and stuff like that, and came back to it at 21. So, you know, it was like a big gap between there. So when I came back to it, it was learning as a pro. And that's a big deal because it's a totally different animal. You know, so the first several years took a while of adjustment to get used to do's and don'ts. And basically, can't do this, can't do that. More so than dudes. Yeah, so.
And your first title fight was against Tony Tucker.
Yeah.
Not an easy fight. I mean, he was undefeated, 33-0 with 28 knockouts. So this was not an easy fight, at least.
Right.
What do you remember about that fight? Why smile?
It was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know that was pretty much the end of my father and I relationship. As in boxing, as far as him being involved with it to the extent of training and being there physically with me, because he wasn't being agreeing to being a team. He really didn't care for my manager or my uncle, you know, and he really was showing that, and not so much as just getting along just to be getting along, because it just wasn't his style. If he didn't like you, that's it, he didn't like you. So he couldn't make that adjustment, so we had to like go our different ways because we had made it really uncomfortable adjustment. It wasn't making it easy. People were a little nervous being around me because of him, you know, afraid to say stuff and just be themselves because, excuse me, but, you know, things happen.
That made camp tough, preparing for that fight?
That camp was a nightmare. I walk in feeling one way, but then I look around and see faces. It's like they wasn't even afraid to say hi to me or say anything to me because they was afraid he was going to say something to him. Like, don't say nothing to him. You know, that's how he was, you know.
Yeah.
He'd be he liked you or he didn't.
And that can mess you up mentally just going into a fight.
It was a tough time because people weren't able to say what they be themselves. So immediately after we got, separated ourselves, I separated myself from my dad. And they said, well, you're going to be on your own. I said, yeah, I know that. But, we still maintain the talk. Or telling how I did throughout that day or what I did sometimes during the course of the day. So it became a long distance now.
Yeah, and that was a brave move for what you did to tell your dad that you're going in a different direction, because you come back, you could have lost a bunch of fights and your dad could have said, well, I told you so. And,
right.
Yeah.
Right. But, like I always called him and told him, like, when we were preparing for the Tyson fight, at the end of the day, I'd go home that night and give him a call, or I would drive by his house on the way home, tell him what I was doing and how the camp was going.
In fact, after you beat Tyson and you're being interviewed in the ring, you said, this is for my dad.
Right.
What did you mean by that?
Well, it was just like when I decided to turn pro. He handed the ball off to me, and I took it and he took it halfway, and I finished it. Went all the way, I was obtaining a gold. That was a championship for all of us.
When I say the name Mike Tyson, what's the first thing that comes into your mind?
Great fighter, great opportunity, and it's a great moment in my life. One of the great moments in my life.
What are some other great moments in your life that would compare to that? I mean, I know as a father you can say it's the birth of your kid, but
that was it.
But is it really? Is because beating Mike Tyson in his prime, what you did, is having your first son?
Well, it wasn't my first son. It was the second and third. Okay. I was at their birth. I was at my oldest son's birth.
Okay.
I was a young man, knucklehead, but the next two I was there.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible experience to
no doubt
see your child being born.
No doubt.
But I never won heavyweight champion either. So championships, I didn't know how they compare with each other. But,
I got to share with my oldest son though. Good. Winning the title, he was there with me. And he stayed in the room with me most of the time. But most of the time, it was the floor beneath me with the sparring partners hanging out over there. They were getting a little wild down there.
You must have felt. Because being a dad myself, my thought would be like, I'm the greatest dad, not the greatest fighter or champion in the world. My thought would be, I'm the greatest dad in the world because my kid now gets to go tell all his friends and tell everyone that my dad beat Mike Tyson.
Right. Well, not only that, I got to go to the school afterwards. I came back to the school, and talk to the kids at his school.
Oh man.
So yeah.
That'd be a high. I mean, as you just won Dad of the Year.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So it was awesome.
Now, when you fought Tyson in Tokyo, you only got that fight really because he was supposed to fight Razor Ruddock first, right?
No. Well, yeah, they were going to fight in Canada.
Right.
But I was on the undercard, so that fight fell through for one reason or another, and I was next in line.
Okay.
So I was going to get the fight regardless, be it Tyson or Razor Ruddock. More than likely Tyson. If Tyson would have won, I would have got the fight for sure.
Mm-hmm. So that just meant that you got it sooner.
Right.
Yeah. Do you think if the fight had been in Vegas, it would have been a different fight? Tyson would have been maybe more prepared?
Here we go. He wasn't prepared. No, I think it would have been the same.
Same outcome.
Didn't know. It didn't matter who. That was it.
Did you hear that a lot at that time? Oh, he wasn't ready. He wasn't prepared. But I just saw you. You were kind of, here we go. Like, did you hear that a lot back then? After you won, people were like, oh, that wasn't the real Tyson.
I mean, it was ridiculous. I heard a lot of stuff.
Really?
I mean, I heard stuff before the fight. You're retarded for fighting this guy because you must be desperate for some money to fight this guy from he wasn't prepared or whatever. So it was always some sort of lame excuse.
Yeah.
So.
Did you hear, I think recently Bobby Brown did an interview or something and he mentioned how I was partying with Mike before the fight. Did you hear him say any of that stuff?
I don't think Bobby was even there.
Wow.
You know, in Tokyo.
Uh-huh.
No, he wasn't there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I always come back and say, well, I was partying too. I had a few drinks before the fight. So.
Wow.
Coming a little more relaxed, dude.
Right.
Sure.
Right. I can get wild too.
Especially back then.
Right.
But out of everyone that you knew, it's well documented. It was your mom that believed in you, that truly believed that you could actually go in there and beat Tyson.
Right. Yeah, she came over, like, you know, to the house. And I opened up the door, my mother at the door. And, you know, she wanted to talk to me about, you know, the fight. Or just how I was feeling. You know, moms could tell you can't be snowballing her.
Oh, no.
Well, they know
They
you.
definitely know.
So before she left, she was like, oh, you so mean, you know. And that pleased her, that I was focused and no matter what was going on in my life, that I was able to stay maintained and keep my eye on the prize. So she was satisfied.
You know, I was listening to an interview with Freddie Pacheco, who was Muhammad Ali's doctor. And one thing he said about the Tyson Holyfield fight, it was titled as Finally, because this was when Tyson had, you know, they were supposed to fight each other, but then he got sent to jail. So years later, they finally are fighting each other. Tyson and Holyfield are. And Freddie Pacheco said, not just finally it's going to happen, but finally we're going to have a fighter who's not going to fight Tyson scared. But I thought, well, but you didn't fight Tyson scared. You fought him with confidence and knowing you could go there and beat him. I mean, that's the thing about fighting him, fighting Tyson, was if you didn't fight him scared, you had a chance.
Yeah, by the time I fought him, guys were going in there really just showing that they had no chance or had no way of even competing with this man, because you could just see it in their faces that, you know, the horror, the terror, you know.
I remember seeing the ring walk with like Frank Bruno, Tyson's fight with Frank Bruno, Michael Spinks. You could tell they were beat before the fight even happened. I mean, they were beat as soon as they walked into the ring. You could just tell how scared they were. Not with you. What was it about you and that you knew that you could beat him and that you didn't fight scared?
I was ready. I mean, I just believed in myself. You know, come from a fighting family. My father, you know, and it was more so just my background. You know, you've got that to fall back on. You know, what's there to be afraid of? I had a whole history of fighting all my life. You know, and I had a great pro career and fought some pretty tough guys to even get the opportunity to fight the man. It wasn't like it was given to me. I deserved that shot. And I was on a 6-fight winning spree after losing my first losing my first fight of the title, portion of the title. So I had all that going with me too, you know. So I had a lot of momentum going in there, and I wasn't brainwashed going into the fight. I was focused, you know. I knew I had an opportunity to beat this man. I knew it could happen. So with all that going into it, what was I afraid of?
I know that your dad didn't come to that fight in Tokyo. Did you want to go there with you, or?
No, he never came to any of my fights, you know, leading up to the fight. You know, but my brothers did.
Yeah.
My Robert came to the fights. Bill came to the fights leading up to that. You know, so I had family there. And then my mom, she came to the Tucker fight. She might have came to 1 or 2 fights prior to that too. So, you know, it was always, you know, somebody would represent come. More than likely, all my fellas were with me. You know, the people, my sparring partners and stuff. So it was good.
You know, there's that famous saying about that Mike Tyson said that everyone has a plan until they get hit.
Right.
When you got hit, first time you got hit by Tyson, did you realize, okay, I took his punch, I can do this?
Leading up to the, you know, yeah, you felt good until you get hit.
Yeah.
So when I got hit, it was like, okay, that really didn't hurt, so maybe it wasn't his best punch. And I know it's coming.
Yeah. Just waiting and waiting.
Just waiting and waiting.
It came in the 8th round, though, right? Was that his best punch, that uppercut?
Yeah, that was the one that knocked me down.
Yep.
I knew it was a pretty good punch. I was like, damn, that was a good shot. Kind of just stumbled. I think it was the canvas kind of got a little snag in it.
Okay.
Tripped over something.
Tripped over shoelace, did you?
Yeah.
I've heard you say in other interviews that it wasn't his power that really concerned you about the fight. It was more his speed and intensity. So you.
Well, it wasn't his power because I've been hit with other heavyweights that were just hit just as hard.
Yeah.
But it was his speed, and then it was his movement because he would duck and kind of like disappear and show up to the right or to the left. You know, not right in front of you. You know, so. And then with the power and the force would make a difference, you know, kind of catch you off balance.
I was watching a interview about the fight on HBO recently, and Tyson's trainer said that the Tokyo Dome was so quiet that he said, and here's his quote, you could hear a rat piss on cotton. That's how quiet it was. Do you remember the Tokyo Dome being
I
quiet?
didn't notice it for a brief second. Then I got back on what I was doing. But yeah, it was quiet. Man, don't hear no noise, you know. But I got back into what I was doing, you know, stay focused. Because, I mean, any little thing could just trip you up. You know, like I said, even in the 8th round, I tried to take a minute between a war to, like, yeah, what do you think now? You know, whack, oops. So that's all it takes is a quick second. Get caught with a punch.
In between the rounds, what was your corner telling you? You remember what they were telling you in between the rounds?
Yeah,
You got it for the next
just stay on top, be first, continue to be first, stay focused, don't let up. So Marco was screaming.
Well, then the 10th round came, and like you said, it was that uppercut and left, right, left. Is that what it was?
4 punches.
Yep.
Left, right.
And then
Left, 5 punches.
and then there's that Jim Lampley said, and down goes Tyson. Did you want him to get back up, or?
I thought he was.
Yeah.
And I seen him get up like on his fours. When I noticed he was reaching for that mouthpiece, I knew it could have been over there, and I said, oh, this might be it. Because I knew that the count was getting up there. You know, from the time he got knocked down, the rollover, and then instead of getting straight up, he started reaching for that mouthpiece. And I knew he wasn't coherent then.
Yeah. He said that he had to reach with his mouth because he thought that the referee would not let him fight if he didn't have it.
Right. Coherent. Yeah.
On an ESPN poll, they asked 11,000 people to rank sports biggest upsets in all of sports. Yours was number 2. Number 1 was the Miracle on Ice. It was U.S. beat Russia in the 80 Olympics. Do you agree with that? Do you think yours should be number 1?
That was an awesome feat, man.
Yeah.
You know, them were like pros.
Yeah.
Americans playing against the Russians. 'Cause them guys, that's all they did. That was their job. And, they had probably had rain for quite a while in the Olympics, right? Mm-hmm. So I can go for that.
That's acceptable.
Yeah, that's acceptable. Put them in the ring, though. Put those same guys in the ring with me.
right.
No match.
Well, but put you on ice skates, what happens?
No match.
Yeah, right.
I still win.
Throw down on ice, too.
Throw down on ice.
You and Tyson should fight each other on ice skates next time. Why do you think a rematch never happened? I mean, you know, I look at, you know, I mean, Razor Ruddock, Frank Bruno, and Holyfield all got rematches with Tyson. You didn't. That's probably the one fight that everyone would love to have seen is a rematch with you and him. How come that never happened, even if it happened a couple years after the fight?
Just never happened.
So that's a lot of money that was left on the table, right?
Oh, yeah. Quite a bit of money was left on the table. Quite a bit.
Was that more, you think, on his side or your side of not making the fight happen? Yeah. Do you wish it did?
Yes and no. It would have had to been like, you know, different circumstances, you know, but it's cool.
After you beat him, you were celebrated quite a bit. You came back, parades were for you. You were on the Johnny Carson show. What were some of those things you remember, some of the fun things that you got to do after you came back?
Doing the talk shows, that was pretty cool.
Like that?
It was really everything. It was pretty good.
Got to do WrestleManias?
WrestleMania.
Sure.
Got to prove a lot of people wrong. But it was good.
Did everything change? Did it go from like 0 to 100 after you won that fight? Like
0 to 2,000.
Wow. Wow. Like just everything with the way people started treating you, maybe letting the champ in for a free meal at restaurants and stuff?
Everything. I mean, it was like, went from anonymous to like, isn't that? Oh my God, that's old.
Wow. Was that hard to adjust to for you?
It was not really. Yeah, yes and no, depending on the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
What was your last interaction, conversation of any kind that you had with Mike?
Probably about a couple of months ago,
Okay.
out in California. We did a thing out there.
Oh, did you visit Tyson Ranch?
No, we were in Beverly Hills.
Oh, okay.
And it was an event. It was like his birthday or something. And I happened to be out there. And he invited me to do a podcast with him.
Hot boxing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
You guys friendly?
yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, the last few times we've been around one another, it's been really good. Yeah.
You guys ever talk about the fight at all? When you're together, you guys talk about other things. As older men now, you guys talk about family and kids and all of you guys talk boxing.
Just hi and
Yeah.
how you been and general conversation. Nothing more than that, nothing in depth.
Just a few more questions. After that Tyson fight, your very next fight was with Holyfield. How did you compare the training camps between the Tyson fight and the
They were
Holyfield
night and
camps?
day. I mean, after going through what I had went through, winning the title, did a few of those talk shows, and then having to go to court, for about 2.5 months, settling, and then given a small window to prepare for the next fight. It was totally unjust, unfair.
When you say settle, what did you have to settle? Because I know Don King was saying it was a long
Screaming about
count.
a long count. Then
Right.
he had to go to court over the fact that if he had the contract, it was still legitimate, which it wasn't. We had to prove it. So, he was still saying he had control of my career. And it was just a big old hassle. It was just really something just messed with me the whole time. You might have won the fight, but you're not going to enjoy it. It got to be like that. And then it was left a short, small window to prepare for the Holyfield fight, which was another huge fight.
Yeah.
That I could have took some other fight, but I decided to take that one because I wanted to fight the best.
I remember watching that fight, and you got knocked down in the third round. I remember when you were down, you were touching your gloves to your nose and looking at your gloves. Did you think that maybe he broke your nose or you were bleeding? Yeah. Yeah.
Nightmare.
Well, your last fight was over 20 years ago, just about 20 years ago. Do you miss it? Do you miss the crowd and the roar of the crowd and going up to the ring and fighting and all the combat sport of it all? Did you miss any of that?
Yeah, I miss it. I mean, I enjoyed my career. I wish it ended a little differently, of course. But other than that, I enjoyed the fight, the game itself, because I did something that nobody thought I was going to do from the beginning. So I far super exceeded everybody else's expectation but my own. I knew I had the ability and the wear tools to get it done.
Yeah.
It was just getting with the right people and making it happen. And it got with the right people and I made it happen. And, how do you like me now?
Was that a tough decision to retire and call it a career? I know there's never a good time to end on a high note. Some people do, some people don't. Like,
yeah, it was a good time. I felt satisfied. More so because any time in my career after winning the title fight was a good time. Because I did succeed at the ultimate goal, and that was becoming the heavyweight champion, what I set out to do from the onset, which was like a long shot. So my career itself was a long shot. And nobody believed in it but me and my family. So.
Was it hard for you to stay motivated? Like, once you did win the title, after that, was it hard to stay motivated once you've achieved that goal?
Well, after a while, it was tough. But I tried to fight through it and, make the best of it that I could. Because it was all new. This was like a new. Being a contender was one thing, being the man is another. And it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
And it's all on you, all eyes on you. So it was a big adjustment. And then with all the interference leading up to that, there was a lot of chaos going on. It wasn't a true smooth transition, because usually a guy win the title, he has a few months to sit back and relax and then prepare about what's going to be the next step. Then we're going to go into the camp and prepare for the next first fight. Mine was nothing like that. It was fight, 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 fight. Outside the ring, fight, 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 fight. So once it was time to get back into the ring, it was pretty much, wow, I've never stopped fighting. I had to fight to even be considered or to be called the heavyweight champion. So a lot of interference leading up to that major event. And after all, I think it had a lot of it caught up with me at the end. But I still made it though.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. There's that saying about boxing, as the heavyweight division goes, so goes the sport of boxing. What do you think about the heavyweight division today?
Well, it's wide open. It's never been as open as it has been in a long time. Not as competitive. It's only like maybe 3 or 4 guys that are competing for the title that really has a good chance of winning the heavyweight title. We've seen them go through it once. Now it's like we're rewinding the tape, doing it again. The same 4 guys. So, it's wide open, that's for sure, for somebody to go in there and take control.
When you see those
it's
guys,
like a big opportunity.
When you see those guys now, and I'm only asking because I know you were at the Wilder Fury fight, and this is not to slight any of today's current heavyweights, but when you see the talent that's out there now, how do they stack up to the talent that was around when you were fighting? Like, are they on par with it?
I know they're big.
They are big.
Big guys, rangy,
Tall, lanky,
lanky, muscular.
Is the same skill level there, though?
Yes and no. They're bigger, so it'll be a little more difficult to get to. Rangier, but overall, I think they could compete, but it was just a lot more of us at the time.
Right.
We had a strong top 15, top 12. It could be either one of us could have been champ any given night. But now it's so wide open, it's like limited talent pool.
I know a lot of times they like to point out certain, aspects of, like, say Tyson Fury. They talk about how, I've never seen a heavyweight move like this. Or Deontay Wilder, they talk about his power. Oh my God, he's the hardest puncher of all time. When you see those guys, do you think that too, or do you just kind of look at them like, he's kind of like, this guy, or he's kind of like that guy?
They're like bigger. These guys, 6'10", I'm 6'4", so they're 6 inches, 5 inches tall. Quite a few inches taller than I am. Rangier, longer arms. They might not be as agile, but you still got to get to them. They got enough ability to stay away, a little less movement, but you still got to get to them. So it kind of evens out, averages out. And their power is about decent power. Wilder might have a little bit more power because he seems to hit a little harder than most of those guys. And the rest of them are average.
Are because I know a lot of times they talk about Deontay Wilder's power. Is it fair to say it's comparable to Mike Tyson when people say that? Is that a fair statement or is that blasphemy?
He has power because he's laying guys out. So guys seem to be pretty sturdy. He's hitting them and getting them.
But different types of guys.
True enough.
Right?
True enough. So that's one of those things that you never know because of errors. But in this era and time, he's the best. He's one of the best out there.
Yeah.
Doing really well.
What did you think of the? I know we talked to you before the Wilder Fury fight. What did you think after it? I mean, was the draw the right call? Should Wilder have won?
I thought that Wilder showed a lot of heart and determination by battling back to get the draw. I mean, without that knockdown, we may have been looking at a new heavyweight champion that night. Because Fury was doing well, but I think it just caught up with him at the end. He couldn't finish as strong as he started. And Wilder really stepped it up, was able to eke out that draw. And by him being the champion, helped him, I think, in the judge's eyes, get that out.
What did you think when you saw Fury get up from that second knockdown?
I thought it was over. It was like he laid there, was just doing a body check. With no movement, he was just doing an inner body check. And everything checked out all right, and then he got right up. I thought it was over.
Yeah.
But he got up strong.
And battled back.
Yeah.
I think he stunned Wilder too in that round. Yeah.
But Wilder was able to maintain that thrust and kept coming forward.
Yeah. How do you think How do you think the rematch will play? I think they're supposed to do it in February. I don't know now that Fury's in the WWE, but will the rematch be different, similar?
I think if they did a rematch, that Wilder probably would get him earlier. I don't think it would go the distance, especially now with this. He's involved with
WWE.
WWE.
Yeah. Why? You think that'll impact it? You think that has an effect? Really?
He could be bigger. You know what I'm saying? Fury. Depends on how he looks in the event in the WWE. Because them guys are big guys. He might want to walk up because of them. And if he does that, it's over. He never, I don't think, come back and be the way that he was when he was competing regularly.
Have you seen? I know you're a pro wrestling fan. At least I know you used to watch it. Did you see any of Tyson Fury on it now recently?
No.
Yeah.
I don't watch it like I used to.
He needs to do a little work on his wordplay. Comes off a little fake.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. What about the?
Not like when I was doing it with Macho Man.
No, that was very professional. It looked realistic.
Yeah. Nice little.
Look at that face.
That's it right there.
That's a legitimate face right there.
Outfit and all.
What about the? Did you get a chance to see the Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua
I
fight?
watched it all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. What did you think?
Thinking about going out to the.
No, you're not. Are you serious? Saudi?
Yeah, Saudi.
You're heading out there? Possibly.
Possibly.
Really?
Yeah.
Did anyone contact you to?
I'm waiting for the phone call. I put flyers out there like.
Hey, I know some people. I'll let Eddie Hearn, if you're watching this, make sure you send the invite out to Buster Douglas.
Right,
He's down.
Broadcasting or whatever, but put some fillers out there.
What did you think of that fight? Like, were you shocked to see?
No. I mean, Ruiz is a legitimate contender. Actually, fought some good fights to get to that opportunity. It wasn't given to him. And he could fight. As simple as that. He could fight. And he showed it. He wasn't afraid of him, still right in front of him. And it was like, to me, it looked like a mystery to Joshua. Like, the guy actually standing in front of me and couldn't find him. Because he's standing straight up, throwing punches and shooting right over top of Ruiz's head, and Ruiz is lighting his ass up. I look for a repeat of that as well.
Wow, really?
Yes, I look for a repeat of that, even nastier.
Do you think Joshua took him lightly? Because Ruiz was a last-minute replacement.
Yeah, but Joshua came to get it, you know, take care of him like he did everybody else. It was just that Ruiz could fight. And when he hurt you, he know how to get rid of you. Because most times, when you hurt a guy, if you don't drop him in that instance, it's even harder to get them once they're hurt because they're more elusive. Even more so, being hurt, you know, they're harder to try to zero in on. But Ruiz was sharp and, you know, pinpointed those shots and caught him.
Do you see any comparisons to? I mean, I know that was a big upset now, and I don't think it's anywhere near the upset that yours was. But do you see some similar comparisons where they made Ruiz to be this big underdog, even though he can fight? He had earned the right to be there.
He was an underdog, of course, but it was like what?
No, it wasn't 42. It might have been like 10 or 13 to 1 or something like that.
So
yeah,
he was definitely fighting.
Yeah, but still similar circumstances. He can, I mean, like you said, he can definitely fight just like you can. And yet, people weren't giving him the credit going into the fight.
Oh yeah, because look at the physical appearance. You know, Joshua was this big 6'6", you know, silhouette of a heavyweight champion. And then Ruiz, a little short, stubby guy, 6'2", you know. And then when they were comparing, Joshua towering over him. They're like, what is this? This is gonna be a wash.
Right.
You know, no similarity like that. But other than that, it was Joshua. I mean, that Ruiz is a beast, man.
Wow. So you think it's gonna be even worse the second time around?
He's enjoying being a heavyweight champion.
He's enjoying it a lot. He's been out and about a lot. You don't think that's gonna affect him at all?
Well, he's got time to train. He's training now. So
True.
It's not like 6 weeks or 7-week training. He's gonna have well over 12 weeks of preparation. So he's gonna be ready.
You got any advice for? I know going into the fight, he talked about possibly losing some weight, to be a little faster. Is that a smart idea, or should he just stick to what he did the first time?
Probably be a little more toning. You'll see a different one, definitely a difference leading into that fight. I look for him to do it again.
Wow.
All he got to do is hit that mark, and that's that chin. Because Joshua's been known to get touched, he's going to go down. So it ain't like he can take a shot.
Wow.
That's the magic button right there.
Yeah.
I know they say that it's it's easier to or it's harder to. I know they say it's easier to earn the title than it is to keep it. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, something like that.
What do you think? You think it's
both of them about the same?
Because once you get that title, are you as hungry afterwards? And that's why a lot of people may not, they don't keep their championship.
He's hungry because he's enjoying the fact of being the champion. So he he likes that status. He wants to always be walking around like the man, which he always will be. But he wants to maintain being the man. Like I still got the belt. They're still chasing me. And I think Ruiz is that type of guy.
That's how he's talking now. Yeah.
Damn right he is. So he's focused.
And he gets to fight the same guy.
Fighting the same guy again. And really the pressure's gonna be on Joshua. Because it's like, oh, that was a mistake. Yeah, I know it. Don't get him this time, right, champ? Yeah, I'm gonna get him.
Well, he can hang his hat on the fact that he got the first knockdown in the fight. So maybe he can live with that.
And that's because Ruiz was cold. Still kind of, ooh, this is the title. All of a sudden, bang, he get hurt. Oh, shit, that wasn't that. Let me stay focused.
Yeah, he got up pretty easily.
Yeah, he got up easily, man. Then got up and never looked back. Ripped into him, buddy.
Yeah. Does the location matter? I mean, they're doing it in Saudi Arabia. I know your fight with Mike was in Japan, so will that play a role?
That's in favor of Ruiz as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Because he's used to training in California?
Well, not only that, but it's like it's the neutral ground. Neutral ground. He's gonna have a hell of a lot of people there for him, and so it's gonna be a even stage as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.